January 25th, 2024. Live streaming from a distant galaxy. This is the world's most controversial podcast, the Doomsy McDoomscroller Show, a philosophical science fiction series featuring realistic futurology and refreshingly heretical commentary on the news. And we've got loaded up here, ready to scroll. Something from the Hill, of course. Doomsy finds a lot of stuff on Yahoo News. The Yahoo News portal, I should say. It's not all from the Yahoo News team. Okay, here we go with the headline. Fox panelist. : Trump has, quote, uncontrollable narcissism and rage, unquote, when feeling insulted. No, just now figuring this out, huh? Well, I guess the news is that it's on Fox, right? I mean, that would be the news. But it's not surprising that they're talking about this on Fox, because uncontrollable narcissism and rage, I mean, that's not a bad thing for Fox viewers who are looking to an authoritarian to make their world better, to make their lives better. They don't really have a world. None of you do. And by you, I mean like second person. All 8 billion of you. I'm not included because, geez, I might not even be in the correct universe. I've been hopping through the multiverse, you know. I'm pretty sure, well, not pretty sure, I'm absolutely certain this isn't the Milky Way galaxy. Just the way things orbit here just ain't right. So I'm talking you all. I had to leave the planet, unfortunately. I had to leave planet Earth to get away from the dominant culture. But I'm no longer civilized. And that doesn't make me any more or less qualified to criticize your culture. Not at all. But being a fictional character, it does mean that there are some things that you'd be foolish to try to hit Doomsy with. Anyways. Uncontrollable narcissism and rage. Right. Something like that. That description right there. Instantly. I mean, okay, yeah, Trump, his name is in the headline. So, narcissism, you know, just it's part of it. It's part of the connotations come with the Trump brand. But it also, narcissism and rage together, those two words, immediately makes me think of the Hebrew Bible. Or I could call it the Old Testament. If I really wanted to be, I guess, pro-plagiarism. Right? That's the most pro-plagiarism you can get, is to refer to the Hebrew Bible as the Old Testament. So, I mean, how could you, if you're at all familiar with those stories, uncontrollable narcissism and rage, that's the main personality. That's the star character. That's Yahweh, the God of Abraham, Yahweh, Yeshua, Allah, Elohim, or well, not actually Elohim. That's plural. Elohim. Hebrew Bible wasn't even really monotheistic until I think 2nd Isaiah. I mean, it wasn't like, well, that would be digressing. But uncontrollable narcissism and rage. That's what's it to any Christian listeners? I'll say that's your God. Uncontrollable narcissism and rage. I mean, how could it not be that? I mean, we know what the stories are. Killing everybody. That character killed everybody on the planet, according to the story, according to the tall tale. Except for like a family and one boat somehow made all the other boats not work. And then just had the one boat and the one family, killed all the other children, killed all the other pregnant women. That's Yahweh, right? And that's the God of Abraham. Really, let's put it all together. I'm going to put all of y'all, East and West, together into 8 billion for civilized culture. We might as well, start to, refer to this God, this uncontrollable narcissism and rage in the Old Testament, in the Hebrew Bible. It's referred to that character as the God of Abraham. And then we have the Abrahamic religions. There's an original Abrahamic religion, which is actually at its very core, that too is somewhat plagiarized. But Judaism being the original Abrahamic religion, then you got Christianity, then you got Islam. So that's their God, uncontrollable narcissism and rage. So that's in Trump. Why would any of the salvationist religious zealots have a problem with that? They don't mind that. Look, authoritarianism, that's baked into the cake of your culture. That's civilized culture for 10,000 years, since its beginning there in the Fertile Crescent. Well, I guess it had to get going for a little while after, a few thousand years. Then you could really, then the progenitors of your culture could really, get to the pyramid building. They had the surpluses. They had the, I don't know, whatever it was they conquered, or thought they conquered. Uncontrollable narcissism and rage. Yeah, that's... And not only is that a characteristic I mean, not only does that describe the personality of the most popular deity in your culture, it's also a characteristic of your culture itself. So we're not talking about like we're not talking about an outer layer of the onion. Right? You have this core mythology at the onion of civilized culture. It goes all the way back 10,000 years. Dozen thousand years. Everyone's just, you can't help but be plugged into the mythology of any culture that you're born into. Civilized culture has made it so that 99.999% of everybody now is of that culture, that one culture, civilized culture, the dominant culture. But that would be true for any culture. You're born into the mythology, and it's virtually undetectable, really, until it's pointed out. And so we can go back beyond the original Abrahamic religion, which, even though it's the original Abrahamic religion, and you got a bunch of others that are plagiarized from it, you know, the two big ones being Christianity and Islam. Even though it's the original Abrahamic religion, in the first book of the Hebrew Bible, there are very heavy elements that reek of plagiarism. And there's a lot to unpack there, and I suppose could some other episode. Right now, Doomsy's just going to say, look, uncontrollable narcissism and rage. That's not just, that doesn't just describe the personality of your favorite deity. That describes your culture. I guess that makes sense. Why wouldn't it? I mean, if that's your gods that you worship. You're only going to create those gods, have them to choose from, because of the influences that your culture has on your religions. And you know, that's where you're at. You have a deity like this. You have so no surprise that you have an authoritarian like this. But you got a culture like that. Narcissism and rage. Narcissism. That's civilized culture. Do you know that right now, and look, I've got Earth. I've got Earth as a reminder all the time on my view screen of the planet I'm trying to get to. But right now, Earth, the rain everywhere on Earth now has these forever chemicals in them. It's in the rain. And by in the rain, I mean like everywhere on Earth, you have these forever chemicals. And they will put you in the hospital. You should not drink untreated rainwater for any prolonged period of time unless you got some really good health insurance. That's the situation. That's what you've done. That's what you all have done. I was part of it too while I was on Earth. But I'm so far away from the Milky Way galaxy right now. I'm just pointing at you all. So you got these chemicals, the PFAS, or I'm not going to take a stab at. Pronouncing that. I don't even have it written somewhere where I can read it. But I remember it was PFAS, like forever chemicals. Like really, really hard to break down to get them out of the water. So when I say untreated water, I don't mean like anything you don't get at Walmart, the Tesco, or the Home Depot. That ain't gonna cut it. There have been some technologies developed recently that can deal with these things. And so, yeah, it might be possible that you can drink like fresh water. You can drink fresh water. You can get a device to remove these forever chemicals. But okay, so well, I guess that means just F those fish. Who cares about the birds? Are you going to be buying any of those devices to get rid of those forever chemicals for frogs, for the benefit of frogs? You going to do that? What about the wolves that drink in the rivers? And the bears and the raccoons? So yeah, your culture, narcissism, maximum narcissism. From a delusion of grandeur, a delusion of godhood. You think yourselves planet conquerors. But that's an impossible thing. Conquer a planet. So you explain away your failures at doing that by thinking of yourselves as punished planet conquerors. So, uncontrollable narcissism and rage. Yeah, rage. When there's some kind of... Look, when you all punch a hole in the crust of the earth, you're doing some oil drilling thing and you punch a hole and it cracks, or it's a ship or a pipe, bleeds all over, coastline, kills a bunch of creatures. Or how about just deforestation? We wipe out a forest. Everything that lives in that forest, you think they don't see y'all as raging? And that's narcissistic rage. It's wiping out that forest. And you don't even have to feel insulted. Maybe you do kind of feel insulted sometimes when you're just slapped in the face with your own arrogance. Like when you all have to take note that the earth has made the Mississippi River flow backwards. Right? Doesn't that take you down a notch? When the earth, via a hurricane, makes the rivers flow backwards. You can't do that. Yet you're in a culture that fancies yourselves conquerors. You're doing everything you do is because of the worldview of these ignoramuses back in the Fertile Crescent. They didn't think it was just cool to regrow some of their preferred foods. They went just wackadoodle with agriculture, which had been around long before the agricultural revolution. It was around long before and far away from that region of the world. So what happened there between the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers, Garden of Eden stuff, right? We're getting Hebrew Bible-ish on this, right? Old Testament plagiarism. And murder victims told that story. Because for the progenitors of your culture, it wasn't enough just to regrow the food. You had to force everyone to do that. And not just force everyone to live that way. The progenitors of your culture, they force everyone to get their calories that way. But also to work extra. To work full-time and overtime so that y'all constantly increasing the production of food surpluses, which fuel your population growth. That's uncontrollable narcissism and rage. That's some kind of rage at the planet. Civilized culture is literally at war with the planet. That's the fundamental beliefs, the tenets of civilized culture for everyone globally. Goes back to the beginning of Holy War agriculture, aka farming. It goes back to that. Your culture is about the subjugation of earth, and thereby the subjugation of women. Because you can't subjugate the earth if you don't subjugate women. You can't do either, really. I mean, you can't, at least you can't subjugate the earth. You can't conquer a planet. It can't ever really be yours. You know, that's where the whole, the people who are against a woman having autonomy, bodily autonomy, I guess is the phrase, right? They get to choose what to do with their body. The people who are against that, I mean, yeah, they might be religious zealots going to church 3 times a week in the USA, but their opposition to abortion doesn't have any biblical basis. Yahweh was all about killing pregnant women and children throughout. There's no care. There's no care for women and children. There's no concern. Even Jesus didn't give an F. Didn't give a rat's ass. Told that guy, and what Luke told that guy, told that man, leave your wife and kids, leave your wife and daughter, leave your children, leave your wife, come hang out with me and my dudes. That's not ethical. And then there's that verse about smashing babies on the rocks, and there's all the child killing. I mean, the whole scapegoating scheme itself, I mean, that's child killing, right? I mean, the dude was tortured to death. And that was the whole plan of this father. They're called Abrahamic religions because of this dude, Abraham. And you know what Abraham did? He attempted to murder his 2 boys. Attempted murder. He was rewarded for the attempted murder. So that's Abrahamic religions. That's Judeo-Christian, Judeo-Islamic, Judaism. That's the text, anyways. That's what's written in those magically perfect books that so many, but billions of people idolize. This literature that condemns idolatry. So you can't find anti-abortion stuff in the Bible. I guess unless you go all the way back to the core, to the beginnings, to at the very beginnings, where that's the roots of the plagiarism in the original Abrahamic religion. And that's throughout civilized culture. So even if you don't worship or you don't even fear any gods at all, or don't believe in any, you're total atheist or even anti-theist, you participate every day in religious rituals which are all about subjugating the earth and also working to subjugate women. Now it's gotten better, I think, but in modern times, I guess since Galileo, it's gotten a bit better for women. Steps backwards here and there, like in the USA recently. But it was never going to be, it's never going to be fair. Pyramid building isn't fair. Waging war, it's not a project based on any kind of fairness. So uncontrollable narcissism and rage. Well, yeah, she pointed out, yeah, That's how Trump reacts when he feels insulted. But same goes for Yahweh. Same goes for the God of Abraham. Same goes for God or Jesus. Uncontrollable narcissism and rage. So yeah, it's obvious. Ooh, a Fox panelist called it out. Look, I've been through a number of universes in this multiverse. And I'll tell you, in some of them, he doesn't even get to run for president. And dude gets tried and convicted. Goes to jail. But even if that happens, so here you have this guy with uncontrollable narcissism and rage, and yet he's super popular. The guy stinks to high heaven. Right? He does something. I guess he doesn't change his undergarments frequently enough. At least that's the word on Capitol Hill, right? I mean, the guy's got serious problems mentally. He's a rapist, for one. And he's a traitor. He's crippled by narcissism. And he's just a total loser. Complete and total loser. And an idiot as well. Just, we should be thankful that he was so incompetent in his kleptocracy in the 4 years he got. But he was in there. He was already in. Yeah, he lost the popular vote because he's a loser. The only thing he's successful at is being a con artist. The guy's a complete and total failure. So don't think, if it so happens this is one of the universes where 14th Amendment kicks Trump off the ballot, and the judges he put on the Supreme Court, and they're flexing their muscles. Ooh, Supreme Court. For the second time they picked the president. You know, if they do that, so what? Everyone who wanted to vote for him, still there. That attitude, the situation that has people favoring someone with uncontrollable narcissism and rage, that situation isn't just going to go away. And look at this. Well, if you can't look at it, it's okay. I'll just read it to you. This is a podcast. But there is a video feed to this broadcast. And let's see. Okay, here we go. Here's the headline. Inside the profoundly different worlds of Trump and Biden. Okay. Different worlds, yeah. Well, one dude has uncontrollable narcissism and rage. He's a rapist. He's a traitor. Loser and a failure. But a successful con man. Con artist. And the other guy, okay, different worlds, right? Okay, I can see the different worlds comparison. I'll grant you. Okay, Biden's, okay, let's take it for granted. Let's just assume he's a nice he is a nice old man. Right? He's normal. The guy's he's normal. A boring, normal, boring politician. But seemingly nice guy. Stood in a picket line. You gotta give him that. Seems more genuine than the guy in the other different world. So you got these different worlds of Trump and Biden. Yeah, okay. Maybe Biden, perhaps he's one of the true believers, in believing in public service and government and things like that. Seems like it. Okay, so let's say that's the case. Trump goes to jail, and you got this good guy in the White House for another term. Like, you're not in the clear. That doesn't do it. Don't relax. The documents are not going to save you. And you don't have to relax, really. I mean, geez Louise, Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, Gen Beta. Gen Beta is not going to want any of this stuff. They don't want the narcissism and rage culture. They don't want to take part. They are not going to want to take part. I'll speak for Gen Beta because they are not even here yet, right? I think it's another year to go before that demographic starts coming out of the womb. Starts getting born. Speaking of which, on that topic, the actual creator, every human being, is a woman. So yours is the culture of maximum subjugation. Because you can get this Biden, you can think your documents are going to save you. Ooh, Constitution, Trump's tossed off the ballot. He goes to jail. And then what? You're still drilling more oil than ever before. That's still going to be the case. That's not going to change. No one's really in charge of civilized culture. You realize that, don't you? I mean, you don't really have any leaders at all. It's a stampede. No one's leading this stampede. It got going 10,000 years ago. It's always been headed for a cliff. So, hey, Doomsy's just saying, what's necessarily doomed is civilized culture. That's done. That was canceled as soon as it began. Cancellation notices have been ignored for too long. It's coming. It's happening. But humanity is not necessarily doomed. Gods of narcissism and rage, cultures of narcissism and rage, leaders, quote unquote, leaders of communities, of societies, people filled with narcissism and rage. That's a relatively recent thing. History of humanity, that goes back 300,000 years. All your pyramid building, you've only been doing 10,000 years of pyramid building. Well, less than that, right? It took a few thousand years before you got to the pyramid building level. But pyramid building never stopped. mean, since it started, but that was still a recent development. So your culture is definitely doomed. Humanity, not necessarily, was around. You had fashion, music, and dinner parties for 300,000 years prior to the pyramid building and the warmongering and the pharaoh fostering. So Doomsday thinks it can go another 300,000 years past, beyond civilized culture. And it probably shouldn't be called a revolution because there's no leaders and there's no uprising whatsoever. Let's call it an abandonment. And the abandonment of civilized culture is currently underway. Yeah. So pay attention. That's probably the main thing that Doomsday wants to get out there, is that it's already underway, the abandonment. And so be receptive to it. Pay attention. Maybe you'll hear something. Maybe you'll see something. And that will connect you in with other people who are open to the idea of abandonment. Abandoning civilized culture. It wouldn't be the first time a pyramid building society, pyramid building culture had been abandoned. It would. And people are ready. I mean, neo-pharaohs aren't ready. Neo-pharaohs don't want it to happen. You got about 1 million neo-pharaohs. 8 billion, about 8 billion stone draggers. But a lot of people, there's at least 1 million, though you have 1 million neo-pharaohs, there's at least 1 million people ready. And already talking about abandonment, talking about it before Doomsday ever thought about it. Doomsday's not leading anything. There are no leaders in the abandonment of civilized culture. That's the beauty of it. That's why it can't be stopped. It can't be put down because it's not an uprising. It'll have transformative effects on scales comparable to a revolution. But it's probably not a good word for it. There's no leaders, no uprising. Just generations of people, an increasing number of people who are done with the narcissism and the rage. Done. It's not easy. It's not easy to appoint yourself conquerors of the planet. It's a hard life. Constantly waging war versus Earth. Frequently waging war versus each other. It causes a lot of stress. A lot of excessive suffering. Hey, look, life has loss in it. So there's no avoiding suffering. But geez Louise, civilized culture just is responsible for so much excessive suffering. All excessive suffering on planet Earth right now is because of civilized culture, which is driven by a mythology that goes back 10,000 years. The only reason that you have millionaires among you is because you think that defines your species. You think that it's in your DNA, that that's the only way to live. And people are ready for something new. It's not easy living in the culture of narcissism and rage. The only security you can hope for is to somehow accumulate enough products, gain some altitude on the socioeconomic hierarchy. That's not natural. It's not how Homo sapiens became Homo sapiens. So yours is the culture of narcissism and rage. So don't be surprised that people want to elect this a-hole who vents narcissism and rage when he feels insulted. Because that's a characteristic of your deities, and it pretty much describes your culture. So yeah, you can expect to become aware of the abandonment of more and more people around you, open to the idea that maybe your efforts to have dominion over the earth, to subdue it, are futile. Raping the earth isn't so good for all the other earthlings or you. So you can expect Generation Beta en masse is going to want to abandon the pyramid building, the pharaoh fostering, the warmongering. So be open to it. You got to talk about it. All the gens, the X's, the Y's, the Z's, the alphas, the betas. It's the most powerful thing you can do. Really, because before abandonment actually happens, it's got to be talked about. I mean, you're all running in a stampede. Some of you may be able to get off to the side and get out of it, but most people are caught in it. And you can't just hit the brakes, because you'll get trampled to death. So you need to start, mooing to the cows around. We're in a stampede. Maybe we should slow down. Looks like there's a drop-off up ahead. Stampede got started 10,000 years ago. Why are we still doing it? Is what people in a stampede might be talking about before they actually get the stampede stopped. So that's what you're headed for. The abandonment of civilized culture, because it is the culture of maximum suffering. Yours is the culture of narcissism and rage. You got questions, comments, you want to get your voice heard on the show, send us a voice message. Maybe you can find missing episodes. I don't know what platform you're listening. It goes to Twitch. Sometimes it makes it to YouTube. Sometimes Facebook, or most of the time Facebook. www.doomsymcdoomscroller.com.